Hello, welcome to Mayoral Candidates, a special series on My City Speaks to Me for candidates running to be the next mayor of the city of Calgary. And it's an honor for me to have another candidate in the house today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Virginia Stone.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well.
Thank you very much for taking time to be on today's show and also to give Calgary another reason to want to vote. Going straight to the question, why do you think Calgarians should get involved in this election?
Oh, that's a loaded question, especially nowadays. Voting is an absolute responsibility. It's a responsibility in a free society, and it is an honor and a privilege to be able to have your voice heard and to have that voice make a difference. What most people don't realize is that one person can change the world. One person can create enormous change. So if we unify, if we unite together and we allow all of our voices to be heard, we can truly create a positive future, not just for your lives independently, but for the lives of your loved ones and for the city that you live in. And we are at a critical point.
Yeah.
I think we are in a lot of trouble, not just in our city, but across the world. And we need strong, disruptive leaders that are actually going to make those hard choices and create the change that we need. But you have to be brave. Yeah. And the entire world has to back that. We all need to start standing up for what matters to us. And the power is in the voters' hands. So there's so much power there. So whoever you vote for is going to lead the next 4 years, and they're going to dictate what the future of the city looks like, and that's actually pretty scary right now.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing to just create this awareness citywide for people to get informed, get involved, and vote based on decisions, they're making themselves.
Yeah.
And that's why we're bringing the candidates to our Calgarians to make a choice of who to be the leader. Now, the next question is about an industry where I'm from. I'm from the creative industry. I'm an artist. I'm many parts as an artist. Looking back, some months ago, the world was on lockdown, Calgary inclusive. Now, the artists, they engage the community, by, showcasing their crafts and works on Zoom. Music, dances, choreography, different forms of cultural activities happening online. And they help our community to get themselves together, helping our mental wellness, And that speaks so much of this industry. And that is why I want to ask you, if elected, what is your vision for the creative, landscape of Calgary?
Well, I am also an artist. I have been since my early 20s, and I've traveled the world. And so the most disheartening thing for me is when I fly back into Calgary and I see the lack of culture here, the lack of art here, the lack of support. We are a multicultural city. We are diverse, but the city and the services and the environment don't reflect that. They don't show it. So when I've traveled to London or Paris or New York or Dubai, it's so different. And we don't see that here. So as a mayor, I think first and foremost, we need to utilize our public spaces, all of our city spaces. I have a program that I want to launch where at least 3 months a year, we actually donate those spaces to all the artists, the creators, the innovators, anybody who's creating something beautiful, substantial, new, fresh, and give these public parks to those artists to display that all summer long. We can have indoor ones, outdoor ones, and they should not be charged. We need to encourage this. We need to get our youth active in this city, and we need to start looking towards the future. We need innovation and tech in this city so desperately right now. And we are going to have to rely on our artists, our creators, our designers, our innovators.
Thank you very much for that answer. Now, while you were talking, you said something about Calgary being a multiculturalist community. And that leads me to the next question. If elected as the mayor of Calgary, how can you make culture more affordable for newcomer artists and the public?
The public to see it,
Yeah,
interview
how can
it.
you make culture more affordable for newcomer artists and the public?
So for me, it's about making the public spaces so that the public can enjoy it and so that we can support our artists.
Yeah.
For the artists, we cannot be making studios so expensive. The cost per square footage in Calgary is astronomical, and inflation has just made it even harder. And when I see certain projects and immense amounts of money being funneled into, say, one project that benefits one artist, that infuriates me, because that money could go to an entire community of artists. We could have a community event center where these artists can have their studios independently, affordably. And part of that is by dropping business taxes, which is an absolute necessity and a priority for me. Being that I've been building businesses for 20 some years, and I am guilty of almost leaving this city easily a dozen times. I've almost been drawn to New York. I looked at Africa. I almost moved to Africa a couple years ago. I almost moved to Dubai. I looked at Abu Dhabi, because there's so much support for business and culture and art there. And then I come home and I feel like I have no support. So that is a priority for me to fix that, because it's very personal for me, and I've struggled through that as well. And it brings life to your city. It brings passion, and that's the one thing I loved while traveling around the world, was the dancing and the singing and the arts on the streets. And you don't have to go far to see that. I mean, Africa was some of the most beautiful display of art I've ever seen. But you get that in LA, you can see that in New York, you can see that in London, and then you come here and it's cold. And I don't see that. And I can't even go anywhere to see that, I find. There's so much limitation. So that's gonna take a little bit of work, but there's no reason we can't fix that in a year's time and make this city more vibrant.
That is very important, to make a city more vibrant. Now, we know the city is facing a challenging time, even before the pandemic. And I want to know your own opinion, the current situation and the future. Identify 3 major issues that you think it's a major challenge in Calgary, and how do you intend to solve them if elected?
There are so many issues in Calgary. It's sad to say, but there are just so many. There's so much work that needs to be done, but key, quick priorities that will give us an instant return on investment would be stopping the bleeding. Number 1, we must stop the bleeding. We must cut the spending. It's irresponsible right now. When we have such a high vacancy rate downtown, our businesses are suffering, they're struggling, the people are suffering and struggling, people are losing their homes. We should not be spending billions on massive projects that aren't going to give us a return right away, that are going to be on the never plan of 5 to 10 years in the future. What we need to do right now, cut that spending, break down that budget and rebuild it with a new set of priorities. And that is taking care of your people, dropping property taxes, dropping business taxes, and putting that money into places that give us really quick returns so that we can all get back to life and so that we can all get some pressure taken off of us. So that'd be first. Second, I have an initiative too that kind of go hand in hand that are very important to me that I can execute within 6 months to 12 months. And I already have groups on the sidelines waiting for me. One is tackling our homelessness problem. So I have an initiative which is called Citizens Without Homes. And we intend to make sure that every citizen in this city has a home. Nobody should be homeless in this city.
That's a tall
Nobody.
project. That's a very ambitious project.
It is, and I feel like it's been ignored for 20 years, and we just keep putting Band-Aid solutions onto the problem, and it should not be happening. So we do have an initiative for that. Everyone will have homes. There will be affordable housing. There will be safety zones for women in need that are on the streets. There will be communities they can go into. There is work projects where they work for that roof over their head. And it's all about growing food, which is my second initiative. We need food security. And right now we don't have it. And so I have a Grow Food, Save Alberta project that we intend to take across the province and then hopefully federally. But it's all about being self-sufficient as a city and supplying food for our people. Right now, I have to get my food from a different province to get it from the farmers. That shouldn't be happening. And so for us to create this initiative, we'll be able to deliver fresh fruit, vegetables, herbs, all of this to your door weekly for around $40.
Wow.
And this whole system will employ so many people in this city, give us that food security, give people roofs over their heads, and at the same time make the city self-sufficient. And we can thrive that way. Because without shelter and food, we cannot recover.
Basic.
It's a basic human need. So that would be another important thing for me. I'm also, once we cut the taxes, once we get that budget under control, I'm going to start running this city like a business. So these projects are not going to cost the taxpayers. That's the important thing. These projects are going to be funded by the city. We're going to actually be able to fund all of these initiatives by running this city properly and not always having our hands in taxpayers' pockets. So I also have an initiative where I'm going to convert all of our garbage into energy. And this is happening especially in Europe right now and around the world, and it should be happening here. I don't know why no one's doing it. But our landfills make me sad. The way we dispose of our garbage makes me sad. And I can take that financial burden away from the taxpayers. We don't need the taxpayers paying for the garbage and the recycling service, and we can cleanly convert all of our garbage. That includes medical needles. It includes recycling, which never gets recycled. So over 80% of our recycling never makes it to getting recycled. It ends up in our oceans, it ends up in third world countries on their beaches. It's horrible. And so we can convert that into energy and put that energy right back into our grid. In this city, within within 3 years, this city will be garbage free, and we clean up our landfills.
Those are very, very ambitious projects.
Yes.
That is amazing. Now, while you were talking, you said something about bringing people together, having people work together, getting people off the streets, creating opportunities, for the homelessness, affordable housing and all of that. Now, looking at our cultural landscape, there's several diversity of ethnicities, coming to Calgary. Now, the question is, how will you make Calgary a more inclusive society?
So we are already a diverse society. I just don't feel we are inclusive. And I've been fighting this for 20 years, and I guess preaching this in my companies that I built. To me, the key for inclusivity is to understand people's differences and then to celebrate them. We don't do that. So until we can understand one another's differences, we cannot celebrate those differences, nor can we live in harmony and see the beauty of that multiculturalism and that diversity. We just can't. And so for me, it's about opening up the city. It's about pulling Calgary out of what I call the caveman days. When I fly back home, I feel like I've gone back 20 years in time. We need to bring this city forward into the future, and we need to celebrate that. And that's going to take a lot of initiatives, truthfully.
Cool. Thank you very much. Now, while you're talking about the city, we have one downtown. And after 5 p.m., it's like a ghost town. Nothing happens. So what are your thoughts about the future of downtown Calgary?
So this is my most aggressive initiative. And I have been working on this for 6 months with groups that want to really back it and get behind it. And it's turning Calgary into the next modern, smart city and being a leader in Canada. To be able to do that, we need to put a lot of time and resources into supporting sustainable innovation, sustainable tech, greening the rooftops. I intend to green 17th Avenue and make it a public green space where artists can be, where we can have live musicians. We intend to have bee colonies on the roofs. There's no reason we should have this concrete jungle. That makes me so sad. And the only life forms I see down there are dead birds. And the homeless, of course, and that can be fixed. So we absolutely need to come into the future, and that's going to require a lot of initiatives, but we can get going on those so quickly, and there's no reason these things shouldn't have already been done 10 years ago. It's rebranding the city. It's addressing the fact that we no longer are what we once were. We're just not, and we can't keep holding so tight onto what this city once upon a time was, because it no longer
In the
is.
future.
Yes.
Thank you for that. What is your plan to keep our youth productively engaged in the city and raise the opportunities available for them in securing jobs, affordable housing, like you mentioned, entertainment and all? Because a lot of youth in Calgary, after they finish their, post-secondary education or university education, they leave for other provinces.
Yeah.
Not because we can't offer them something, but they keep living. So how do you intend to keep them productively engaged?
This one I can actually speak to because I was one of those. I've been trying and contemplating leaving for 20 years. I'm always trying to leave everywhere I travel to. I would then want to live there. And part of the problem for me, and I believe it's going to be part of the problem for the youth, is we just don't have a thriving, diverse, forward-thinking city. We do not. So if I can incorporate all of these initiatives and make this the next great, modern, smart city, we can produce so many great jobs. Companies will want to come here again. And we will become which we are right now, a no-fly zone, we will actually become a place where people want to invest, where we actually have great jobs here, and maybe we can be a tech and innovation hub here in Calgary. We need that in Canada. And to do that and to supply a future for our youth means we need to think outside the box at this point, and we need to catch up to other countries. So job security, having a beautiful, thriving, sustainable city will definitely encourage the youth to stay, and then to have arts and culture and a nightlife. I'm pretty old, but when I was young, you only had pretty set places you could go as a youth. And they weren't diverse, and there weren't a lot of options, and we all kind of did the same thing and followed each other around the city.
Yeah.
We need so much more than that now, and we need to encourage these businesses with grants, low taxes, initiatives. We need to bring a thriving business industry back to this city, and that's going to change things for the kids. And we need a forward-thinking, younger-thinking leader that's going to actually implement what matters to the youth. And what matters to the youth today, the youth that I'm talking to, is sustainability, environmental issues, bringing in new innovation. It's protecting people, the environment, animals, and we need to help create new industries, because although oil and gas is so important, it can't save us.
Yeah.
We need new industries in this city, and we have to be known for a lot more than we're known for right now. And I also intend to bring in a sustainability festival. Well, you will win grant money, and we will actually back you for having great innovations, great design. And to do that, that makes us a hub. It makes us a cool, creative hub, and it's going to draw a lot of youth to our city. But we need these initiatives.
Yeah, the initiatives will keep the youths in place.
Yeah.
Because they find something to do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You've given us a lot of things, to think about, and I have just about 2 questions more before we enter this interview. Okay. Now, the simple one is like, how do you unwind? What do you do for fun?
I used to travel. I used to love travel and exploration and adventure. I love animals. I love nature. So I spend a lot of time in nature. I hike a lot. I like to camp in a tent. I like to rough it. I love golfing. Golfing is the one time where I can just kind of wipe my brain clean and just take a break from thinking for a few hours. So I would say those things. And I love wine and cheese, so sitting around in the sunshine.
That is amazing. Thank you very much. Now, at the end of your term in office, if elected, what do you hope to have accomplished?
Oh, goodness. Unifying the city. Unifying the city council. And actually, in a 3 to 4 year term, having a very productive, smart, modern city that's thriving, that's self-sufficient, that's multicultural and diverse, that's inclusive, that's garbage-free. Those are some of the small ones that I absolutely must achieve in that timeline, because I believe that we all must give back more than we take, and if I can do that, then I believe I've done my part in at least bringing beauty to this city and trying to create change in as many lives as possible.
Thank you very much. Bringing beauty back to the city by creating changes over a period of time. Thank you so much for your time, to come on the show today. If you want to know more about Virginia Stone, check the website appearing on the screen. And until we come again your way, it's bye.
Goodbye. Thank you. Let's disrupt the status quo.